my fiber friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you are here for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Monica and I go by Mika Knits here on YouTube, and this is my podcast, the Worsted Witch podcast. I haven't done a regular podcast on my channel for probably like 6 months, so it's been quite a while since I've sat down and actually showed you all of my projects, everything that I've finished, everything that I'm working on, and any future plans. And I always like to end podcasts with TV shows and book recommendations as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. I've got a lot to talk about today because it has been quite a while. So I am filming this weekend. I'm doing a Vlogtober video as well. So if you see me in the same outfit in my next video, it's because I've filmed two different videos in one day. So just FYI if you've been watching my Vlogtober videos for that. So let's go ahead and get into it. I counted how many works in progress that I have and how many finished objects total. And it looks like I have 3 finished objects to show you today, and I have 6 total works in progress. So I was considering maybe breaking this video up into 2 different parts, but I think I'm just going to power through, and hopefully you guys can power through with me and just bear with me as I show you all of my projects. I really enjoy doing it, so I hope you enjoy watching. But let's go ahead and just get into it today. So finished objects are always first, and like I said, I have got 3 of them. So first finished objects are my pumpkin patch cabin socks. Here they are. They're looking a little bit worse for wear today, just because like they've got dog hair on them and stuff, just because I have been wearing these actually. I've been wearing these for the past like 3 days. They're just so comfy and comfortable, and I don't know, I really love them. So this is a pattern that I actually did. Again, it's called Pumpkin Patch Cabin Socks. This is a pattern that I did as a test knit for Dayna over at This Yellow Farmhouse. I believe she does have a podcast of her own by the same name, This Yellow Farmhouse. I will link her information in the description box down below, so if you want to go ahead and check out her channel for a little bit more detail on these socks, feel free to go ahead and do that. I also have better pictures of all of my projects over on my Instagram, so feel free to check that out as well. But the Pumpkin Patch Cabin socks, here they are. So the yarn that I used was this Madeline Tosh yarn. It is the Tosh Vintage, and there's only 200 yards or 182 meters in one skein, and I only used one skein. I knitted the medium size, so just to kind of give you an idea. And this color, this beautiful red color, is actually a custom colorway that Madeline Tosh has done for a shop in Atlanta, Georgia called Eat, Sleep, Knit. I haven't been to their brick and mortar store before, obviously because they're in Georgia and I'm in Washington State, but I do order online from them quite a bit. So that's how I got this colorway. It's actually called Veruca Salt. So it's based off of a character from Willy Wonka. So if you've seen Willy Wonka or you're a fan of that, you will know Veruca Salt. But yeah, it's a beautiful red. It's probably the most beautiful red I've actually ever worked with. And it's Madeline Tosh, so I quite enjoy their yarn. It's really, really nice. These socks, they're obviously a larger weight of yarn. The Tosh Vintage is a larger weight. I would say it's about like a worsted weight yarn, and I used a size 7 needle, double point needles for these socks. So they knit up really, really, really quickly. I would actually recommend these socks just if you want something quick for yourself, because like I said, they're super comfy to wear, and I've been wearing them for the past 3 days. So I recommend that if you're looking for something really quick that you can wear right away, or even if you're looking for some like last minute Christmas gifts. I would also recommend maybe making these socks. They're a good addition to that. So anyway, these are my first finished object to show you, excuse me, my Pumpkin Patch Cabin socks. Here they are. All right. So my second finished object that I have to show you today is also a test knit. Just for some context, all three of these finished objects that I'm showing you today I did as test knits. So I'll link the information for the designers in the description box down below so you have that information. But let me go ahead and show you my second one. My second finished object is my Ardsitka sweater. And this is a design that I did, this is a sweater that I did for, I believe her name is Anne Michelle Phelan, and she, I think, is Irish, if I'm not mistaken, but she goes by Thread Softly Designs. So I found her on Instagram, and I applied to be a test knitter for her beautiful Ardsitka sweater, and this is my finished object that I have to show you. I did finish this one, so here it is. As you can see, I have finished it, but I have not blocked it, nor have I sewn in or weaved in my ends. So they're just kind of hanging around. So I apologize for that. I will do that at some point, but I've just been so busy with the Westknits MKAL and Vlogtober and everything that I haven't gotten a chance to even like weave in my ends for this sweater. But it's finally getting cold enough here in Washington where I actually can start wearing my knits. So I'm going to go ahead and weave these in and get this blocked as soon as I can. So, but this is my Ardsitka sweater. Now this sweater is a top-down yoke sweater. It's knit from the top, and it has this beautiful, I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but it has this beautiful design here for the yoke. So some color work, some stranded color work that you do have to do for this particular project. And let's see, what else about this? Originally, this design is actually for a long sleeve sweater. So these sweaters in the pattern are actually long sleeves. But I asked the designer, I asked Anne Michelle if I could go ahead and do these as a short sleeve sweater, just because I was curious, and I kind of like short sleeve sweaters. I think they're kind of neat looking. So she said absolutely. She was curious to see it herself. And so I went ahead and did these sleeves as a short sleeve here. And I haven't put this pattern up on my Ravelry page yet, but once I do, once I get it blocked and take some good pictures of it and everything, I will put it up on my Ravelry page, and I'll put my notes for how I incorporated the short sleeve into this pattern, just because I could think it could be a really fun thing to put in there. So anyway, top-down sweater, very, very simple design, especially after the yoke is finished, after this color work. It's just a plain stockinette stitch all the way down. The yarn that I used for this sweater is a little bit pricey, I'm not gonna lie. The brown color is actually Woolfolk yarn. It is a fingering weight yarn. They're tinned. I'm not sure if it's tined or tinned Woolfolk yarn, but maybe if you know, you could tell me in the description box, or in the comment section rather. But I did use the Woolfolk tined, and this is in the number 23. So that is the yarn that I used. I do have quite a bit of leftover yarn for this, and I have a plan for it, so I'll share with you a little bit later what my plan is for the extra yarn that I have on this Woolfolk. But I used the Woolfolk tinned in number 23, and then the green, which I was actually looking at it, and it would really look really nice in like a dark blue too. So just FYI, I kind of wish I would have done a dark blue. But I did the green, and the green yarn that I used, I held it together with a mohair, but the green is actually a small skein, one of those mini skeins. It's called Emma's yarn, and it's sock small, so it's also a fingering weight. And I believe the color was like In the Field or something like that. I think it was called something like that. And then the mohair that I held it together with is actually a sheepy's mohair, and it's called Boogie. Like a bogey, like a boogie, like a booger. So that's what the yarn is that I used. But I really enjoyed this sweater. It went up a little bit slow, I'm not going to lie. The only reason why it was a little bit slow for me is because this yarn is obviously, both of them are fingering weight, and the entire sweater is knit in a size 4 US needle. So it's really, really small for a sweater. For a sweater, I'm usually used to using a size 6 or even a size 7 needle, which just goes a little bit quicker. Especially with color work, but this one was knit all in a size 4. So it's a small yarn, small needle, and therefore it did take a little bit more time. But it is a really simple design, really simple construction, and I do highly recommend checking it out. It is really nice, and I can't wait to slip this on. I think with the mohair, it's a little bit warm, especially here in the chest with that yoke. So anyway, but I'm very excited to wear this. I will get this blocked soon. But that is my Ardsitka sweater. Okay, and then the third and final finished object that I have to share with you today is also a test knit that I did. I did this test knit for Casey Greve. Oh gosh, I don't know how to say her last name. I'm so sorry, Casey. But she's a designer that's local to me. She lives up here in Washington State. And she, I think she's a newer designer as well. I'll link her information in the description box down below. But I did this design, or test knit rather, for her. It is called the Holly Jolly Jumper. And let me go ahead and show it to you today. This is my finished object. This is my Holly Jolly Jumper. As you can see, it is a design that was meant to be an ugly Christmas sweater, and I think it's hit the mark. I think it's definitely that ugly Christmas sweater that we all want every year, or at least I do. So this is a design that she did for her involvement in an ugly Christmas sweater competition that her and her partner attend every year. So that was the inspiration behind this design. I decided to go ahead and test knit this for her. The yarn that I used for this one is actually really cheap. It's not expensive yarn at all. I got it at a local craft store here called Benjamin Franklin Crafts, and it's just a yarn called from Premier Yarns. It is their everyday DK yarn, and I think it's like an acrylic base yarn. I don't think there's any wool in it, so it's not expensive. I think it was like $6 a skein or something like that. So I just bought a whole bunch of different colors to use for this project. I think there was like 6 or 7 different colors that I used, but obviously I favored the lime green as you can see, and it's very Grinchy. It's very Grinchmas, which I actually quite enjoy. So this test knit, it did take me quite a while to finish. The only reason that this took me a while was because of all of the color work. So this design is, again, a top-down design, top-down yoke design, and all of the color work in it is charted, so you can check that out if you want to. You get to customize the pattern all the way up from here, right under once you break for the sleeves, down. So everything from under the sleeves down is customizable to your choice, and I think there's a bunch of different charts that you can choose from. For me, I obviously chose the paw prints, the snowflake, the candy canes, and the little mushrooms. So that's what I chose. So you can definitely choose whichever chart you like. So it's customizable to you. And then as far as the sleeves go, you also have the option of doing a striped sleeve or a colorwork sleeve if you're brave enough, or just a plain solid sleeve as I did. So you could choose either way. But yeah, this is my Holly Jolly Jumper. I can't wait to get into this sweater for Christmas. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm so excited. The only thing that I will say about this sweater, besides telling you that it takes a long time because of the color work, is that the fit of the sweater is a little bit tight. Just a little bit tight for my taste. I'm used to sweaters being a little bit I'm used to sweaters having a little bit more positive ease, and this does have positive ease, but it still is just a little bit form-fitting. So if you like that, then just knit it as written. But if you don't and you'd like your sweaters to be, or your jumpers to be a little bit more loose, I would suggest maybe sizing up for this particular design. So just know that going in. But other than that, it is a really cool sweater, and it does have some fun and new techniques. So for instance, I didn't know that these little nups here were called nups and not baubles, and I didn't know that there was a difference between the two, but there is. And then I also learned this loop stitch here that I did for this loopy section. So it was just a lot of fun. So anyway, my Holly Jolly jumper, that is my third and final finished object that I have to show you today. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get into works in progress. And like I said, I have quite a few. Well, not quite a few. I only have 6, but for me that's a lot. So I have 6 works in progress to show you. The first works in progress, I've been showing you this one for a little while, and I still haven't finished it, and I'm a little embarrassed that I haven't finished it because of how much I have left. But let me show you. This is my Beauceron sweater. This is a design by Vincent Deslandes. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not quite sure. He's one part of the duo, the Garçons. So this is the Beauceron sweater that I'm knitting. As you can see, I am not very far away from finishing it. I still have to finish this second sleeve. I do have the first sleeve finished here, but I haven't done the second sleeve yet. So, well, I've gotten pretty far on it, but there's only like a little bit left. Let me see. There's like maybe 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches left on it, but that's all I have to finish is this second sleeve. But I'm just not a fan of being on Sleeve Island. I don't know about any of you, but Sleeve Island is just, I don't know, something about it just slows me down, and and I just never finish it. Anyway, but so I'm a little embarrassed to show you this because I haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost done. So the Beauceron sweater here, like I said, this is a design by Vincent Deslandes, and again, this is a top-down yoke sweater pattern, and it has this beautiful, really easy, and it's not even color work, if you can imagine, but it's just this really easy slip stitch design that you do for the yoke, and you actually do the yoke down past the sleeve separation, so that's kind of cool. And then after the sleeve separation, it's just straight stockinette all the way down to the hem line, where you just do a 1x1 ribbing. So that's really neat. There are some fun design features on this sweater. So for instance, you do the short row shaping at the back of the sweater so that you can kind of distinguish which side is the front, which side is the back, which I think is pretty good. So you do that short row shaping there at the collar. And then once you get into the yoke, it's pretty easy, pretty simple. You break for the sleeves at a certain point according to the size that you're knitting. And then there is this really fun design feature in the stockinette portion of the design where you actually do this slip stitch at every other row here, and it gives you this nice sort of like, it almost looks like a hemline, but just this nice sort of thing here, this nice line down the side of both of your sleeves and down the side of the body, if you can see that. It's on the body as well. So that's kind of fun. I like that. I don't know if I showed you that right. I don't know if you could see it. So it's down the body as well, which is here. So I think that's a kind of a fun design feature. I like that a lot. The yarn that I used for this sweater, let me see here. This was the, I have it right here. This was the Barocco Vintage. I believe this was a DK weight yarn, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was the Barocco Vintage DK weight yarn. So it's not too expensive of a yarn, not too bad. It's a superwash yarn, so that's pretty good. this is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. So it's not a yarn that is too expensive in my opinion. And I just used the 2 different colors here. So my main color is that sort of light brown color, which is actually called Oat. That's the brown. And then the pink is actually called Ballet Slippers. So again, it's the Barocco Vintage DK yarn. So that's what I used here. Can't wait to finish this. I'm hoping that I will have this finished to show you guys in the next podcast as a finished object. I'm really crossing my fingers for this one because it has been quite a while that I've been working on this particular project. So, and then the second works in progress that I have to show you today is a works in progress that somebody actually requested to see. And it's so sweet. I love it when I get requests to see something for people that have been watching my videos for a little while. It just makes me feel so, I don't know, it just makes me feel so loved and so warm, and I just enjoy that. So thank you for asking. So this is my crochet blanket. Let me show you the actual design here. This is called the Persian Tiles Crochet Blanket. This was a design that was designed by Janie Crow. And I actually got this blanket as a kit. Here's the finished design here. I got this blanket as a kit from a company called Mary Maxim. They're just sort of a craft store. I don't know if they have a brick and mortar store, but I order from them on their magazine, basically. This is the first thing that I ordered. I ordered the Persian Tiles Crochet Throw. And it's just a small, like, lap blanket size. It's meant to be 46.5 inches by 46.5 inches. So it's just sort of like a big square. But it's a lap blanket size. It's not too big. Now this blanket I have been working on for quite a while. Let me show you some of the tiles that I finished. So here's a few of them here. There's a few more. And there's a few more. So as you can see, I've actually finished all of the tiles. I finished all of the Persian tiles that you have to crochet for this blanket. So there's a bunch of different crochet techniques and stitches in this blanket, but these are the Persian tiles. I think there's 16 of them total. So I have all of them here. So these are all of the tiles. I finished all of these. And I also finished the granny squares as well. So you have, I think it's like 8 or 9 different granny squares that you have to do as well. So I finished these, and obviously these come in 2 different colors here. So I finished the granny squares, and then I also finished the granny square triangles as well. So the granny square triangles and mini triangles. So I finished all of the parts essentially for this blanket. So these are the triangles here, granny square triangles. I think there's like 16 of them total or something like that. And then these, there's like 3 rather. There's 3 mini, actually there's 4. Yeah, there's 4. There's 4 mini triangles as well. So as you can see, so there's the big Persian tiles, there's the granny squares, the granny triangle, and the granny mini triangle. So there's 3 different types of granny squares that you do, and they're in different colors, obviously. So I've done all the parts for this particular blanket. So I finished all of that. Just lay those there for now, and then these are the Persian tiles. So I've essentially finished all the parts, and the only thing that I have left to do on this crochet blanket is to actually sew it all together. So I'm not really sure, in the pattern it just says to arrange it how it's supposed to be, and then sew it all up together. And then you're actually going to crochet a border around it as well that they show you how to do. But as far as sewing it all up together, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to do that. So I have to, and it doesn't tell you in the pattern like what technique or how you're supposed to sew it together. It just says sew together. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to do that. I was going to go ahead and look it up maybe on the internet and see if I can find information on how to crochet or sew crochet pieces together. If you know a technique that I could use to do all of that, let me know in the description box down below. I'd love to hear it, and then I could probably look that technique up and learn how to do it really quickly. So but yeah, I just don't know how to sew it all together yet, which is probably why I haven't finished it, but all of the parts are done. So all of the parts for my Persian Tiles crochet blanket are done, but I just need to sew them together, and I'm not quite sure how to do that. So if you know, feel free to let me know. I would love to hear your suggestions on that. But this is my crochet blanket. So yeah, almost done, but not quite. All right, and then the third works in progress that I have to share with you today. Just dropping stuff. All right, the third works in progress that I have to share with you today is my other blanket that I like to call my perpetual work in progress, and that is my Slipstravaganza Blanket. This is a design by Stephen West, or Westknits, as most people know him. And here it is. This is my Slipstravaganza Blanket. Very big, as you can see. It's a lot bigger than the lap blanket that I've crocheted, and this is all knitted. So it's getting real big. I actually can't physically stretch it out using just my arms. It's bigger than the width of my arms, so I can't physically do that, but to show you. But I hope that you get some good perspective on what it looks like so far. So as most of you who have been watching my channel for a little while will know, I have finished the bubble section of the Slipstravaganza blanket. Hallelujah. The bubble section seriously took me just the longest amount of time. I think it took me almost a year to finish the bubble section, which is this part right here. The beginning parts of this blanket, actually this blanket is knit in the round, and it is knit from the center out. So you actually start here with this big black dot, and then you move on to these beautiful honeycombs, these slip stitches here, and then you move on to the bubble section. And I have finished the bubble section. This blanket actually has two versions. So you can do a short or small version of this blanket, or you could do a large version. I am obviously doing the large version because I'm crazy and want to make something really big that's going to take me 3 years to finish. Don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I'm doing. But the small version, you actually only do 9 different bubble stripes here, and then you cast off in this beautiful picot edge. So you can actually do the smaller version of this blanket and just cast off at 9. And if I had done that, I would actually be finished already, because obviously I'm past the bubble section. So, but again, I didn't decide to do that. I decided to do the large version. And I have moved on to the next section here, which are just those row columns, they're called, as they are in the Slipstravaganza shawl. It's basically the same, I think. But I haven't gotten very far on that. As you can see, I've only done the first 2 rows of that section. So you can't even see what it's supposed to look like it hasn't taken shape yet. So, but that's where I am on my Slipstravaganza blanket. I really enjoy this pattern. The only thing with this pattern is that right now it's on 2 60-inch needles, and I still can't stretch it out all the way. The only thing with this pattern is the size of it. So because I'm knitting the large version, it's just a really large project. So here it is all bundled up together, but it's just a huge undertaking. It's a huge project, and it is quite heavy. Once you get all this yarn together and knit it up, it's a little bit heavy. And when I'm actually sitting down and knitting on it, I actually have to lay it over my lap so that it, you know, so that I can see where I'm at and what I'm doing. But it's a blanket, and so it actually gets pretty warm. So I feel like, at least over this past summer, because it was so hot up here in Washington State, I didn't work on my blanket or my Slipstravaganza blanket at all this summer because it was so hot. And I just know that as I'm knitting on it, I have to lay it over my lap, and it does get quite warm and quite hot. So that's kind of why I haven't made any progress on it, just because of that, just because of how heavy and hot it is right now. But I do want to finish this blanket, hopefully next year at least. I was thinking that this year was going to be the year that I finished this blanket, but it is not, because it is already October and I haven't gotten very far on it since the last time I showed you. But I do want to finish this maybe next year, so I'm hoping. I'm going to try to prioritize this a little bit more and try to pull it out. Now that it's getting to be colder outside, I feel like I can pull this out and start working on it just every now and again and see how far I get. So I want to see how far I get with this blanket by December, because the reason, actually, if you don't know my beginnings of this channel, if you're new here, the reason why I actually started this channel was just sort of to be a knitting diary, and just I wanted to actually keep track of my progress on this particular blanket. Ooh, I'm just gonna drop it. I wanted to keep track of my progress on the Slipstravaganza blanket, and so it's been just a year, actually a little over a year, since I started this channel, and it's been almost a year and a half, or just under a year and a half, since I started this blanket. So it's been going on a year and a half now. But I wanted to see, I was thinking initially when I started the blanket, I was thinking that it would be a 2-year project. That was my goal. I'm thinking though, since it's already been a year and a half, I'm thinking that it might be a 3-year project. So, but yeah. So this is my Slipstravaganza blanket. I did forget to mention the yarn that I'm using for this. It is, again, a cheap yarn. Because it's a blanket, I thought that it would be fine to use acrylic, and I couldn't really afford the, at Stephen West's at his shop, his yarn shop called Stephen and Penelope, they actually, you can order from them kits to do this blanket, and they have those kits available, but it was just a little bit out of my price range to buy one of those kits, unfortunately. So I didn't buy that yarn. I think that's West wool yarn that you use, and it's a DK weight yarn, by the way. But I just bought a cheaper version of a DK weight yarn. The yarn that I'm using is Valley Yarns. That is yarn from yarn.com or webs, WEBS.com, and it is a cheap yarn. It's just an acrylic base yarn, and I'm only using those 3 colors, so or 4 colors I should say. So I'm only using the black is my main color. This light gray is called silver. This medium gray is just called gray. The dark gray is called dark gray. And those are all of the 4 colors that I'm using. So I will link the information for this yarn in the description box down below if you want to check that out. But yeah, that's my Slipstravaganza blanket. Alright, sorry about that. I had to take a little bit of a bathroom break. Okay, so let me go on to the last 3 works in progress that I have to show you today. I will save the MKAL for last because I will show it here on this video. I am featuring the MKAL on my Vlogtober videos, and I'm not showing it on the Vlogtober videos. So if you don't want to see any spoilers for the MKAL, definitely I will put a warning in before I start to show that, so you can click off or fast forward or whatever you want to do. So let me go ahead and show you my my 4th works in progress. This is a shawl that I'm doing here. This is called the 5th Avenue Shawl, and I have it backwards, but let me turn it around and I'll show you. So this is my 5th Avenue Shawl, getting a little bit too big for these needles, or too wide for these needles. It's not a very big shawl, as you can see. I'm almost done actually with this shawl. It's not taking me too long. The yarn that I am using for this is a yarn that I actually had in my stash. This is yarn by Knit Picks. It's a lace weight yarn by Knit Picks. It's just in the color black, or noir, I think it's called. N-O-I-R. Noir? I think that's how you say it. Correct me if that's wrong. But it's just a black, and then it's actually held together with another yarn from my stash that's also by Knit Picks, and this is just their black aloft yarn. So it's just that mohair fuzziness there. So this is the Fifth Avenue shawl. This is a design by Sachiko Uemura, I believe is how you say her name. She is a Japanese designer. I really enjoy her designs over on her Ravelry page. I will link her information in the description box down below so you can check out her stuff. But she has just really beautiful, clean, simple designs, and I just really enjoyed looking at them. I think they're really beautiful. So I decided to knit her Fifth Avenue shawl, just in black here, and then there's actually beading. Now the beading is optional. You don't have to do the beading in this pattern, but I decided to go ahead and give it a go. And I'm just using these gunmetal color beads. I thought the gunmetal would go really well with the black. And they're kind of small. I think they're like a size 8 bead or something like that. So they're actually quite small, and they're not showing up very pronounced in the final thing. So I'm hoping that once I block this, once I'm done and I get to block this, that they'll show up a little bit more, or I can stretch it out a little bit more to show them better. But yeah, the beading isn't too bad. It is a new technique for me. I hadn't done beading before, but it's not too difficult actually, and I quite enjoy it. So anyway, my Fifth Avenue shawl. This is how far I've gotten. This shawl has been in a little bit of hibernation actually, just because I haven't gotten a chance to pick it out and work on it because I've been working on those test knits. So I will finish this at some point. I'm hoping to finish this by the end of the year, but I guess we'll see. I've got my little Harry Potter, my little Harry Potter stitch marker there. I think that's cute. Anyway, Fifth Avenue shawl by Sachiko Uemura. And that is my fourth works in progress. All right, and my fifth works in progress is actually another test knit that I'm doing, and I'm very excited to show this to you today. So let me just make sure. I have a mic on and the wire is like coming out of my camera, so I'm trying not to like make it move around. Anyway, this is a test knit that I'm doing for Anjali Dewan, I think is how you say her name. She is a designer that I found over on Instagram, and I found her actually through a yarn dyer that I think used to be local here in Washington State. She goes by Sugar Plum Circus Yarn, and I subscribed to her newsletter, and she had a test knit call on one of her newsletters a few months back for this specific design. And so I went on and found the designer over on Instagram, and I applied to be a test knitter, and I got accepted, and I'm so happy that I got accepted to this design because it's absolutely beautiful. It's just a simple cardigan. It is called the Mohini Cardigan. Again, this is by a designer called Anjali Dewan. I will link her information in the description box down below. I will show you a picture of the final design, but I won't show you the pattern, obviously, but I will show you a picture of the final design. So that is her Mohini Cardigan. It is a beautiful tweed DK yarn that she used by Sugar Plum Circus. And it's just a beautiful top-down raglan sweater. It does have some color work, as you can see. It has stranded color work as well as intarsia. And for me, intarsia is a new technique. I've never done intarsia before, but I actually quite enjoyed it. I don't know if any of you guys have done intarsia, but I really liked it. It was really fun. Let me show you where I'm at with my sweater. Now I am using the same yarn. I am using the Sugar Plum Circus Tweed DK yarn, but my colors are a little bit different, obviously. I am using the colors called Storm which is just a beautiful dark blue, and a pink, a light pink called Peony. They're both the Tweed DK Sugar Plum Circus yarn. So this is my Mohini cardigan. I've got it all twisted up here. Let me show you. So I'll show you the back. This is my Mohini cardigan. Last night, I have been prioritizing this for the past couple of days. So last night I actually finished the color work and finished the hemline here, and I bound off the body, and I started with the first sleeve. So that's where I'm at here. Gotten some good progress on it. I really enjoyed it. And this is the first time also that I've done a raglan cardigan. So that's kind of cool. But it's basically knit flat. This is a piece that's knit flat. You do the raglan shaping for the sleeves. And then once you break for the sleeves here, so essentially it's like this. So you do the raglan shaping for the sleeves, but it's all knit flat in one section, and then you continue on after breaking for the sleeves to the rest of the body, as you can see. So it's just knit flat like this. The reason why it's knit flat is because you have to knit flat for intarsia. That's something that I didn't know because, like I said, I hadn't done intarsia before. So it's kind of a new thing to learn. There's always something to learn. So this is where I'm at with my Mohini cardigan. I'm really happy with my progress over the last couple of days on this, but this is going to be due, I believe, by mid-November. So I want to say by the end of November, this pattern will be available for purchase. And obviously I'll be making some progress on this pattern before it gets released and everything like that. So, but I've been making some good progress over the past couple of days, and I really like it. So again, I'm on the first sleeve here, not the second sleeve, and I'm using my new my new shorty needles that I got from Knit Picks. So that's kind of fun. But essentially what I'm going to do here is going to finish both sleeves. I'm going to do both sleeves, and then I'm going to put in a collar. So you actually start picking up stitch. This is very curly right now because it hasn't been blocked. But you essentially pick up stitches rather, all along the sides here, on both sides. So you pick up stitches all along here, and then you give it a collar. You do a collar row shaping and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how to do that yet. I gotta look at the pattern again, because like I said, this is a test knit, and I haven't done that before either. So, but we do have some wonderful test knitters in our test knit group, and they're very, very helpful over on our little group chat that we got going on Instagram. So I'm sure if I have any trouble that I can go ahead and reach out to those ladies, and they will help me figure out how to do it if I don't know how to do it. So, but anyway, I'm really enjoying this sweater. Or cardigan rather, and I'm really enjoying the process on this. And anyway, so here's my Mohini cardigan. Like I said, it does have that color work there. This part here and this part here, these bands of color are the stranded color work, and then these little blocks of color here are the intarsia. That's where your intarsia goes. So anyway, it's really, really nice. I really like it. I love this yarn. I would say I would highly recommend checking out anything by Sugar Plum Circus. Actually, I've ordered her yarn in the past, and I really love her yarn. It's something about working with her yarn. It just feels sturdy. It feels soft at the same time. And it knits up so beautiful. So I would highly recommend checking Sugar Plum Circus. I would highly recommend checking out her yarn. It's beautiful. And this particular yarn, this DK tweed base, I've never worked with a tweed yarn before, but it's gorgeous, and it's so soft, and it's just, honestly, it's just a beautiful yarn. I really love it. It's so gorgeous. So I would highly recommend checking out Sugar Plum Circus yarn. If not for this, for something else that you might be making, because it's just a beautiful yarn to work with. So anyway, so that's where I'm at on my Mohini cardigan. and that will be finished. That will be finished by mid-November. So, well, it's got to be finished by mid-November. But anyway, so that is my 5th works in progress. And then my final works in progress is my Westknits Mystery Shawl. So this is the Westknits Mystery Shawl of 2022 called Twists and Turns. And I said I would go ahead and let you guys know when I was going to show it. So if you are not one to look at spoilers and you don't wish to see the shawl, if you don't wish to see it and you want to keep everything a mystery, then I would suggest clicking off now. If you are leaving, it has been a joy to have you with me here today. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I hope you come back. I hope to see you again. And have a wonderful day. Happy knitting. If you are staying though, just talk for a little bit, make sure everybody's clicked off if they want to. But if you are staying, the not Slipstravaganza, I keep calling it Slipstravaganza, but it's not. It is called Twists and Turns. The Westknits Mystery Knit Along is called Twists and Turns 2022. The yarn that I'm using for this particular project is a yarn that I got in a kit that I curated myself. I got it from Moonglow Yarn Company. Whitney over at Moonglow is a single dyer, I believe. She does it by herself, and she's over in Wyoming in the United States. So I would highly recommend checking out her yarn. I've used her yarn for other projects before too, like socks and stuff, and her yarn is just beautiful. So I recommend checking it out. Actually, this yarn right here, this yarn is, I still have it in the skein that it came in. Because it's just so beautiful, and I can't bear to take it out of the skein. But this is the Moonglow Sweetheart sock set that I got last year from her. So Moonglow Yarn Company, I would recommend checking out her website, because she's got some beautiful sock sets like this, and she's got some beautiful yarn for your MKAL if you're gonna knit the MKAL. So it's not too late. If you still want to knit the MKAL, there's no like set date or anything. It's not too late to join. Even though we've already got 3 clues released, it's not too late to join us if you want to do so. So I recommend it. It's been a really fun knit so far. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my Westknits MKAL. I hope everybody that does not want to see it has clicked off already. I've talked for a little bit. So let me show you. All right, I've got it in my beautiful bag. Isn't this bag great? Oh, I just love it. It's this foam bag that's like soft, but it like holds shape at the same time, and it stands up, and then it's got these grommets for the yarn that comes out. Gosh, I love this bag. This bag my mom made for me. Can you believe she made me this? Isn't that so cool? Oh, I love it so much. This is my favorite knit bag, and it's one that my mom made me. D'Artagnan chewed on it. D'Artagnan is my little dog that's watching me. You can't see him, but he's watching me. He's right behind the camera watching me. All right, so I've procrastinated enough, but let me show you my Westknits MKAL. So here it goes. All right. Westknits MKAL 2022, here we are. This is my MKAL so far. As you can see, I am still on the second clue. I have not finished the second clue yet. But this first clue here was this middle section, this chevron middle section. It took me so long. It took me more than a week to finish this first clue here. That was just a beast of a clue, man. It was just, because in this first clue you cast on and cast off and cast on and cast off every 4 rows, and it just took the longest amount of time. I don't know why that took me so long, but it really did. It was just a real labor of love, let me tell you. But I absolutely love the way the first clue looks. It looks amazing. It looks so cool. And then the second clue, initially when I pulled it out, I wasn't really a fan. When I first saw it, I wasn't really a fan of the second clue, but it's growing on me. I kind of like it now. It's super fast to knit. It's really, really quick. these two wings on the side here. I've got it on this scrap yarn, so it's kind of falling around here, but yeah, I really like the second clue right now. It's really growing on me. As you can see, I finished this first side here. You do this section, you do on either side of the first clue. So I finished the first one, and I'm currently working on the second one. Haven't gotten very far with it, but that's where I'm at. I've put this project away for the past couple of days just to prioritize my Mohini Cardigan test knit. And I think I'm definitely going to go ahead and start picking this up tonight, just because I want to be able to finish at least this second clue before the release of the final clue, which is clue 4, this Thursday. So that's where I'm at on my Westknits mystery knit along this year. Really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the process. Yeah, something about this test knit is just, it feels a little bit different than the ones before. I've participated in 2 test knits before this one, so 2021 and 2020. Those are the years that I've participated so far, and this is my 3rd year participating in it. But something about this test knit feels different. It just feels like there's a lot more people taking part in the test knit, which I think is great. And it also just feels like it feels more advanced, if that makes any sense. It feels more advanced than the 2 previous years that I've participated in it. Excuse me, I had a bit of a coughing spell there. But something about this test knit does just feel different. What I said was that it feels more advanced somehow. Not sure why it does, but it just does. But I actually really enjoy that, because one of the reasons that I take part in the Westknits MKAL every year is to learn a new skill, because there's always something new to learn with knitting, and I'm not one to shy away from learning new techniques, and so I really, really enjoy that. I've already learned new techniques, because this first section, like I said, it was just a crazy clue to knit, but it was a good process, and I really enjoy this final look. This braid here is absolutely stunning. So yeah, I don't know, something about it just feels different this year, for me anyway. I'm not sure if anybody else feels that way, but for me it just does feel different. And it feels like, the other thing it feels like is that Stephen, I know, is such an artist. He's such an amazing imaginative thinker and designer and artist, really. And I feel like this year he's really letting his art shine. It's really coming together as something really different, and it's just a really fun and exciting mystery knit along this year. I feel really special to be a part of it, even though I don't know Stephen personally, and he probably doesn't even know that I'm knitting this, but it just feels like a different knit this year, and it just feels, if people are knitting it, it just feels really special. This particular mystery knit along, this shawl, Twist and Turns, it just feels like a really special design. So I really enjoy it. I'm really enjoying the process. Once I've gotten past this first clue, it starts going real quick, because the first clue is a little bit hard to knit, but the second clue definitely is much easier. So there is a lot of knitting though in the second clue. But it's going much faster for me now. So I have put it away for the past couple of days, like I said, but I'm definitely going to pick it up again tonight once I finished editing these videos and putting them up. I will pick up my MKAL and get to work on it. So I'm hoping that I can make some good progress, or at least finish clue 2 by the release of clue number 4 on Thursday. But I will update you on my weekly Thursday video and let you know where I'm at with the MKAL. So I'm gonna put it away. All right, so I've put it away. So if you fast forwarded through me showing you my MKAL, then we're back. I'm gonna put timestamps below in the description box so people can know how to skip forward and things like that if they don't want to see the MKAL. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for works in progress. I don't have any more works in progress to show you today. There are a couple of other things that I'm working on, but I think I'll show you them in the next video. So actually, instead of having 6 works in progress, I actually have 8 works in progress, but I'm not showing 2 of them to you just because there's nothing to show. Really, they've not gotten very far, and there's not too much to show. They don't look like anything right now, so I'm gonna wait to show you those 2 works in progress for the next video, or the next podcast video. But anyway, so that's it for works in progress. If you don't want to talk about books and movies and TV shows, and you just wanted to hear about the crafting, thank you so much for being on this video. Thank you for coming back to see my podcast. I hope to see you again. Happy knitting. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead of you. If you are staying to hear about TV shows and books and movies that I'm watching, let's get into it because I've been watching a few new things. So let's do this. Okay, so as far as books go, I have these 2 books behind me. I think I showed you this on one of my Vlogtober videos this year, but I've picked up these 2 books at Barnes & Noble, and I really, I can't wait to keep going with this. So I've started reading this book here. This is a book by Sally Thorne called Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match. I've just begun. I've gotten past the first chapter on this book, and I love it so far. It's so cute, and I can't wait to finish this. It's not very long at all, so I'm sure I'll finish it pretty soon. But this is essentially a story of Angelica Frankenstein, who is Victor Frankenstein's sister, and she makes her match. Essentially, she makes her partner. So I'm very interested to see how that comes to be and what they do. So Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match. It's basically like a rom-com style book. So I'm reading that. I've just begun reading that. And then this book here is actually part of a series. It's called The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And this book, I described why I picked this up in my last one of my Vlogtober videos, like I said, but essentially why I picked this book up is because one of my very favorite Instagram knitters, she goes by Jody, or Worsted Wolf, actually I should say. She is a new knitwear designer, and one of her very first knitwear design is actually inspired by one of the characters in these novels. And so I'm not sure how many books are in this series, but this is definitely the first one. And so I'm very excited to get into this. It's like a fantasy series book, I guess. Anyway, it's got some good reviews. And there is another YouTuber called Emily. She goes by Willow Cove Crafts. She said this book series is very good and it's one of her favorites. So I'm very excited to read this. I haven't started it yet, but I do have this first one. So these are the 2 books that I would recommend this time around. These are the ones that I'm reading right now. So those are my 2 books. All right, and then as far as TV shows go, I am watching. I'm watching so much TV. I'm watching so much TV because I've been knitting so much, and I love to sit and knit and watch TV shows. I don't know why, but I just love it. So I have watched all of the episodes of the show over on Amazon called Rings of Power. It's basically part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't know if it's part of that or just sort of like a prequel to that, or it's definitely pre-Lord of the Rings, but I think the Rings of Power is based off of Tolkien's appendixes, so I think there's a lot of liberty being taken with this show, But it is a show over on Amazon. The final episode of that show has already aired. I have watched the entire season 1 so far. I did not enjoy the show until the last 2 episodes. That's hard to say because I really wanted that show to be good. I really had high expectations for that show because of how much money they spent making it and just the whole Lord of the Rings thing. I was just very excited for it. But it didn't really get going or get good until the last 2 episodes, in my opinion. I won't spoil anything for the show, but kind of disappointed that I think there was like 9 episodes total, and it didn't get interesting or good until the last 2. So kind of disappointed that that happened, but I'm hoping that they can come back for a second season and tie some things up and make it, I think it'll be, if there is a second season, I think it'll be a little bit more interesting. So I did watch that show. I watched that show as I was knitting on my Holly Jolly jumper. So I watched The Rings of Power. And then I also have been watching, and I think tonight is the very final episode, the finale of the season, but I have been watching the Game of Thrones spin-off called House of the Dragon over on HBO. And I have been watching that. I absolutely adore it. That is an incredible show. It was so, so good. I was a little bit nervous about that show just because I was thinking like, ooh, Game of Thrones was really good in the first few seasons, and then it kind of like fell off a little bit, and then that last season of Game of Thrones was just kind of mediocre and not very good, unfortunately. So I was a little bit nervous that this spin-off for House of the Dragon was going to be bad. I was a little bit nervous that it was going to be bad, you know, but it is really good. It is really, really interesting. I really enjoy it. A lot going on in that show, let me tell you. So I was a little bit nervous though when it first came out, but the reason that I started watching it is because I absolutely adore Matt Smith. Matt Smith is an actor, a British actor, and he plays a character on House of the Dragon called Daemon Targaryen, and I adore Matt Smith. I think he's an incredible talent. He is so good, and that he's the reason why I started watching the show, but like I said, the show it's really taken off. He's still my favorite character on the show. Matt Smith's Daemon Targaryen is my favorite character, but there's some amazing actors besides him on it as well, and it's just an incredibly well-written show. I really enjoy it, and tonight, like I said, is the finale, so very excited to watch that tonight. I'm going to be knitting on my MKAL and watching the final episode of House of the Dragon, so I can't wait to do that tonight. And then the final show that I have been watching is a show that I actually recently found over on PBS. I was looking at Apple TV, and it recommended to me a show called Miss Scarlet and the Duke, and it's a show that's over on PBS. I think it airs on Sunday or Mondays on PBS, but PBS is the public broadcasting channel over here in the United States, and I love PBS. I love PBS Masterpiece Theater. I love period pieces and stuff like that, and this particular show is essentially about Miss Scarlet. Miss Scarlet is a female private detective in the times of Jack the Ripper. So that's the 19th century in England, and I think it's like around 1880-ish, something like that. So if I'm not mistaken, Jack the Ripper was happening around the 1880s, somewhere in there. I'm not quite sure of the history, so correct me if that's wrong, but somewhere in that time period, the 1880. I know it was the 19th century, but I'm not sure of the date. So I think it was around 1880 something. But anyway, this particular show takes place in that time period, so essentially Victorian era is when that is. And Miss Scarlet is a female private detective in that time. And that was sort of unheard of. There wasn't a lot of female private detectives at that time. I don't know if that was the same time as Sherlock Holmes or if Sherlock Holmes was later. I don't know. Maybe you can let me know. I'm not quite sure of the dates there. But I really enjoy the show. I love mysteries, like mysteries, especially mystery novels. Those are my absolute favorite. Like, I love Agatha Christie and I love Sherlock Holmes. Oh gosh, I just love anything mystery. So I really enjoy this show because it is a mystery show and there's different cases that she's working on and they're all kind of like whodunits. And it's just a really fun show, and there's a love interest on it, and it's just a fun show over on PBS called Miss Scarlet and the Duke. There are 2 seasons so far of that show. I have watched the entire first season of the show, and I'm currently on the 2nd season. I think the 2nd season is actually going on right now, so I think there's like the 2nd episode of the 2nd season that is being released either today or tomorrow. So if you want to check out Miss Scarlet and the Duke, I think now would be a good time to do it. So Miss Scarlet and the Duke is the 3rd TV show that I have been watching. And that's really it. I haven't been watching any other TV shows, just those 3. And let's see, movies. I haven't been watching really any new movies. I've been watching a lot of scary movies. I watched an old scary movie from the 1950s last night called House on Haunted Hill, something like that. It's with Vincent Price. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show, but it's I was interested to see an old scary movie and see if I would have liked it. It was actually pretty good. I really liked it. I really like Vincent Price. He was just so iconic and so incredible in scary movies, and I'm a huge scary movie fan. I don't know if anybody out there knows that about me, but I love scary movies. Like, they are just my absolute favorite. Love scary movies. So I've been watching a lot of scary movies because now is the season. Now is the season for scary stuff. So I've been watching a lot of scary movies. There's actually another movie, a scary movie that I'm going to be watching in the theaters next weekend called, I think it's called Pray for the Devil. Pray for the Devil? Pray of the Devil. I think it's Pray for the Devil. Anyway, I'm not sure. But it looks really scary. So I'm gonna go watch that next weekend. So I'll update you guys and let you know how it was. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've been watching. That's all I've been reading. And that's really it for me today, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I know it's going to be a long one, so I apologize. But like I said, I will have timestamps in the description box down below, so you can skip ahead or skip forward or whatever you'd like to do. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And I will see you guys in the next podcast, which I'm not sure when I'll do that, maybe next month. But I will see you in the next one. And hopefully you've been watching my Blogtober videos, and I'll see you there too. So have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever, whenever you're watching this. And happy knitting, everybody.